Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, September the 16th. Hope everybody is having a great evening so far. A lot of NFL fans going through it. I see a couple of different comments as people start to stream into the chat here to greet me this evening, like Ann Herndon, who says, Buck, how's your blood pressure 11 days into the regular season? Well, it's not good, Ann. It's not good. I'll tell you that right now. Bert popped the camera on, and I looked at myself and I said, "Oh my God, I look so tired. It's only week 2." I was terrified, or not terrified. I was very upset with the idea that the Titans had a week 5 bye, and then based on the first 2 weeks of the regular season, I may be desperate for a week 5 bye in the first week of October. Because this football team, man, I understand why some of you feel the way that you do sometimes, because I certainly feel like it's raised my blood pressure level. I can't imagine what it is to be a fan of this team and to have to root for this on a regular basis. Bobby Manning says, LOL, we don't need a show on this. We need therapists, Buck. Listen, it's basically what my job has turned into. Honest to God, pop psychologist has basically become a part of my professional profile, because I did it for 3 hours for you on the radio today. I'm going to do it for you, maybe not quite an hour. We'll probably do about a half hour here on it tonight. And I understand that this football team is a detriment to your well-being and to your mental health. But just so you know, there's 8 other NFL franchises who are also 0-2. And I'm looking at a disheveled Ravens fan in the bottom corner of my screen who has Super Bowl expectations and is also, just like you, 0-2. So we'll hear from Robert Walsh later on in the show. Tom Wishaw says, Buck gonna need a vacation by week 5. Oh no, I'm taking a vacation. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to 38 on the bye week. I've already got my flight booked. Grace handled the accommodation, so we've got a lovely beachside setup. I'll see you guys on the other side come week 5, baby, because I am out of here. And I didn't think that I would be ready by week 5, but damn sure I'm going to be. Anyway, so eye test quarterback. Let's talk about it, because one of them, the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft, got benched today. You think you got it bad. How might it feel to be a Panthers fan? And so we're going to talk about, within the context of Bryce Young and his benching, Will Levis and passing the eye test as an NFL starting quarterback, because there are some things here that are salvageable, whether it feels that way or not, at 0-2. And with the quarterback who is making questionable decisions, does he at least pass the eye test of somebody who is viable moving forward? That's what this season is about. I say this not to be cruel, but just to be honest. Probably not a Super Bowl year for the Tennessee Titans. Playoffs, I think that would be a reach at this point. Especially, I don't think that would be a reach. It would be a reach. You have a 6% chance of making the postseason starting the season at 0-2. Only in the last, since they expanded the playoffs in 2020, I said this last night, only last year's Texans and the 2022 Bengals have been able to make the postseason after 0-2 starts. And right now, he doesn't look like C.J. Stroud or Will Levis. But passing the eye test as an NFL starting quarterback, it's something that Bryce Young was not capable of doing. And their staff made a decision in week 2 to get this guy out of there. So we're going to talk about Will Levis tonight. We'll get into all these things together. Benjamin says people were shocked Young was benched after 18 games. Is that really shocking after 18 games? Yes, it is shocking when the number 1 overall pick is benched by the franchise that drafted him after 18 games. You are not allowed to not be surprised by that. It's a complete and utter failure across the board from an organization that mortgaged all of it for that number 1 overall pick, just to sit his ass on the bench behind Andy Dalton at 36 years old, 1 year and 2 starts into his second season. You are not allowed to tell me that you're not surprised by Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick, getting benched after 18 games. That's nonsense. So we are going to get into these things together. We will talk about who you would rather have moving forward. Will Levis, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson. We're going to take CJ Stroud out of the equation because, of course, that's the answer. And then we will get to Bert at the end of the program before we let you get on with your lives and Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. Goodness. Anyway, welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time here from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Zen Sports. Download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN, get up to $100 on your no danger first wager with that promo code. Buy Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com for more information. And TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. Your first workout is free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated. Just go to truemavfitness.com today. Okay, Will Levis. The question, does he pass the eye test as an NFL starting quarterback? We are through 2 games with Will Levis. We will put aside for the time being Will Levis's previous 9 starts in the NFL. It's not an outright fresh start because I don't think that you should completely ignore everything that came before it, but let us just talk about Will Levis within the context of this season. So, Will Levis, 0-2, 319 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost in these 2 games, and a quarterback rating of 35.3, which right now qualifies him 28th among qualified starting quarterbacks. Does Will Levis pass the eye test as an NFL starting quarterback? That's what we're here to discuss. We're discussing it within the context of Tom Pelissero and the benching of Bryce Young today. Tom Pelissero first reported it. Here is his appearance on the Rich Eisen Show. Your Two Rivers Ford take, by the way, is presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com for more information. They'll get you right no matter what your needs are with quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. tworiversford.com. Does Will Levis pass the eye test? Because Bryce Young, who got benched today, apparently did not.
You look around the league, Rich, at how quickly teams have pulled the plug on starting quarterbacks, whether that is the 49ers moving on from Trey Lance, the Jets from Zach Wilson, more recently, Justin Fields, obviously, the Bears moved on from him. Kenny Pickett got 2 years, not even, before he ended up not being in the lineup down the stretch last year. As much as we can say, and there's truth to it, guys need time to develop. When it doesn't pass the eye test, and this entire Panthers team has not passed the eye test to this point this season, the one position where you can create a sea change is at quarterback. They're still really shorthanded on defense. They've still got issues they got to resolve as an offense here. But the one thing you could do to try to shake things up before the season really slides away from you is make a quarterback change. And so a very bold move by Dave Canales, making that decision overnight and into earlier today. He informed the quarterbacks, Rich, a few minutes before I put the tweet out that announced this news. You can imagine that this is a heartbreaking moment for Bryce Young. It's an opportunity for Andy Dalton, and there's no question it's a shakeup in Carolina.
Well, I'm just looking here.
So that is Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, who first reported the news that Bryce Young was going to be benched by the Carolina Panthers. For context, next to Will Levis, because the question is about Will Levis, even though Bryce Young is the player that was benched today. He is the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft class. He was the first quarterback selected among those 3 first-round quarterbacks who ended up going with him, then Stroud, and then with Richardson. Of course, Will Levis falling to the 2nd round. He was the 2nd pick of the 2nd round that year, and it is a huge move. It is a huge move, but you understand the logic based on what Pelissero is saying. 2-16 start to his NFL career through 18 games, and he is being replaced at this point. He is the first quarterback selected number 1 overall since 1967 to be benched for non-injury reasons in the common draft era. It is unprecedented what the Panthers have done today. They traded with the Bears to acquire that number 1 overall pick for to draft Young, who is 0-2 at this point this season. His total QBR, you think Will Levis is bad, at 35. What is Will Levis? Let me read it again. 35.3. Bryce Young's QBR right now is 8.9. 8.9 is not something that I thought possible from QBR. It is the 3rd worst over a 2-game stretch since ESPN began using the metric over a decade ago. 8.9 is the quarterback rating. It's crazy. So, Will Levis is not Bryce Young. CJ Stroud is obviously the best quarterback to come out of that 2023 class. Richardson has not made the leap. Levis has not made the leap. And Young, I mean, he's been trying to keep from drowning since he got drafted there, right? It's been an utter disaster. To me, though, with the context of what's surrounding him, I am not yet out on Will Levis. I will tell you this. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. It's like Traylon Burks to me. I don't trust him until he gives me a legitimate, concrete reason to do so. I can think that he is an ascending player. I can think that he still has more than he has shown. And I can still be willing to buy low on his stock because God knows. I mean, no, it was lower in week 1 than it is in week 2. He did play a better football game in week 2 than he did in week 1, whether or not you are willing to acknowledge it, because costly mistakes, of course, contributed directly to them losing yet another game. Turnovers for him directly contributed to them losing a football game. I don't trust him, but he does pass the NFL quarterback eye test for now. For now, he may end up being a backup. Bryce Young may not even be that, based on the way that the Carolina Panthers have mangled the start of his career. I blame the Panthers more than I blame Bryce Young for everything that's gone on there. There is no disputing that fact. Levis, Richardson, two guys who the book is still very much out on and trending in the wrong direction. I don't know which, I mean, I do know which AFC South fan base feels the worst about their quarterback situation, because one of them is paying a guy $55 million to do basically the exact same thing that the other two guys can't seem to figure out. So he passes the eye test. He did improve, even though it is not a conversation that I want to have, because he did the thing again, as we talked about last night. But it is too early to be out on Will Levis. That's just where we're at with it. So that's my position on it. You're going to hear from Brian Callahan here in a second on Will Levis. He spoke at a press conference earlier today. But as far as the eye test goes, I'm not done with Will Levis. His talent dictates that you should not be either, because he did make some considerable plays in this game. Benjamin says Levis is getting better. Coach said it, just eliminate the dumb stuff. Yes, but he has to eliminate the dumb stuff, because you cannot improve consequentially if he's still doing the dumb stuff. The improvements don't matter if the decision-making is not corrected. B. French says Jake Locker was a backup quarterback, and we died on a hill with that guy. Who's this we? I did not die on any Jake Locker hill with you. That was before my time covering the Tennessee Titans, but I can assure you that if there was a Jake Locker hill to die on, I would not have been there with you. But I will say that I stuck with Mariota way too long as somebody, well, I mean, I was done with him by the time they were done with him. Because that Denver game is still, I mean, hell, I was doing primetime. We did it from the Denver press boxes, as angry as I've ever been watching a football game, because it's still the worst football game that I've ever seen a Tennessee Titans team play. But I defended Marcus way longer than I should have. And that was the first experience that I had with something like this, Locker or Young or Levis or any of these guys that you talk about, because it's hard, right? You, as a fan base, you want of course you want these dudes to work out. You want every player that plays for your team to work out, but it's really hard to, I think, separate yourself from a quarterback unless it becomes clear and obvious that it is no longer time to stick with that quarterback. And it is not yet clear and obvious that the Tennessee Titans should move on from Will Levis, though, again, he is not covering himself in glory that way. So, with everything that's going on with the Tennessee Titans, Brian Malone says 59-0 was the worst in Titans history. No, Brian, because at least there were 59 points scored in that game. That Titans team lost to Joe Flacco, who played terribly, in a 16-0 game. So, no, that game was worse. The Titans may have played worse in the 59-0 game, but no. Aesthetically, there is not, at least you watch a team put up 59 points as opposed to 16 against Joe Flacco, just dying a slow and painful, miserable football death. Vol for Life says, Bryce Young to the Titans, question mark. No, it is too, and I know you're saying it in jest, but you can't divorce Will Levis yet. He's given you a lot of reasons. He needs to get his act together, but it's not there yet because he does pass, for now, the eye test. So between Bryce Young, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson, which one of those players would you rather have moving forward into the future if you were those three respective franchises? Richardson, Levis, or Young? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Don't sell without the intel edge that Gary Ashton can provide. Go to GaryAshton.com for the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. All right. Levis, Young, or Richardson? Richardson is 0-2. Bryce Young is 0-2. Will Levis is 0-2. Anybody have the percentage of quarterback pressures on Levis? I certainly do. I can pull them up for you right now because Pro Football Focus, one, the Titans offensive line is allowing the most pressure in football. Again, I tweeted that out because I have my Pro Football Focus premium stats, and that was something that was made evident to me today. 33 pressures on the season, pending the results of Monday Night Football tonight. The Falcons have also not had a great year as far as the offensive line goes, but Will Levis has been the quarterback under the most duress so far this season. Now, the percentage of pressure that he has faced is something that I can pull up for you here in just a second. Will Levis has been pressured on 53.4% of his dropbacks, most in the league. Second, Caleb Williams. Third, Justin Fields. Fourth, Deshaun Watson. Fifth, Justin Herbert. That is courtesy of Next Gen Stats among players who have played 2 games. So he's under pressure. It matters. That is something that the left side was the problem in game 1. The right side was definitely a problem in game 2. And you have yet to get a consistent performance from the offensive line and the quarterback at the same time, which is something that you are awaiting. Now, in Indianapolis, Richardson can do the spectacular. He has the highest ceiling of any of the quarterbacks. He's got the highest ceiling, certainly in the division, and that includes C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback in the division. It should be Trevor Lawrence, but wow. I just started watching some of that Browns-Jags game earlier today, and it's shocking just how bad these moments are for Trevor Lawrence. It has to be infuriating for Jags fans. And Watson wasn't great, but he was good enough to win that game on Sunday. So it's not looking good in any of the other 3 AFC South teams other than Houston. Richardson has the highest upside of any of these guys. Johnson points out that Richardson has the highest QBR among them, 59.1. Lawrence at 56. Levis at 35.3 right now. But Richardson is erratic. Richardson's up and down nature of everything that's happening with this guy, you can't trust him yet. Just as you can't trust Will Levis yet, and you can't trust Trevor Lawrence. You cannot trust Anthony Richardson to do the routine. In fact, I may argue that I trust Will Levis to do more of the routine plays or to execute more routinely, I guess is how I should say it, than I do Richardson, because Richardson will give you the 60-foot off his back foot, 60-yard rather off his back foot throw for a touchdown and then not be able to complete the slant pass on 3rd and 3. So this is kind of the double-sided nature, essentially, of the quarterback problem that a lot of these teams are facing, because, yes, you have a guy with incredible upside, but also he's not helping them win games. You have a guy like Levis who does have still more upside, but is right now hurting them more than he is helping them, including, because this is the thing with Levis, that last drive, he could have tied the football game. He had multiple opportunities to do so. Brian Callahan's offense and the playmakers around him provided him several opportunities to do so, and he just didn't see it. He just didn't see it. You can't have that. Aaron Rodgers wasn't great on Sunday. He was fine. He was okay. He's clean, but he wasn't great. You have to be able to beat that guy. You have to be able to beat that team. That Jets team was imminently beatable, and you just missed opportunities at the end of the game twice, and instead chose to tuck and run and get smoked by a defensive back. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. It is arguably more egregious to me than the fumble. I mean, the fumble is bad. The fumble is really, really bad. The fumble hurts worse because he's made the exact same play last week without as catastrophic a result. But still, you can't have that. So of the three of them, man, I would probably say Richardson. And that's not an easy thing to say right now because Richardson is erratic, and that's the whole thing with Levis is he has these manic mind meld moments where the bottom just falls out. But if I'm going off what I've seen, then I'm seeing more potential in Richardson than either of the other two. And that doesn't, I'm sick and tired of talking about potential. But for this exercise, I'm trying to find some glimmer of hope between the three of them, Young, Levis, and Richardson, that would allow me to want to continue the experiment further. And Anthony Richardson, being the most athletic quarterback in the history of combine testing, would probably make me give him a longer. He is going to get a longer leash than the other two. Let me say that right now. Will Levis is a second-round pick in the second year of a 4-year contract. Bryce Young has already been benched, so he's out of this part of the discussion. But Levis is improving, but I don't trust him. Richardson, I need to see more of a sample size before I can actually determine whether he's improving or not. But it's almost like the opposite of the devil, right? Levis is the devil that I know. Richardson, the unknown of it, makes it more intriguing to me. It makes it more intriguing to NFL talent scouts. That's why he was the third overall pick. No, I'm sorry, fourth overall pick in the NFL draft. Will Anderson went third in 2023. Tom Wishall says, can you coach it out of Levis, or is he how it plays? We were talking about this today in the building when I was leaving the radio station. It's in his head. I mean, I don't know if you go out and hire a sports psychologist to try and help this guy or what, but he's in his head. And so I don't know if it's correctable. I don't know if it's coachable. I don't know if Brian Callahan has the necessary degrees to diagnose and correct the problems beyond just being an expert in quarterback play. But it's in his head, and it's got to stop because, it's all he's doing. I'm not going to say all he's doing is hurting the team, but he is hurting the team more than he's helping it. So Benjamin says, crazy how things have sped up. QBs used to sit a while. Now we want to be amazing in 12 starts. Yeah, because you can find other guys. You can churn them. It's not worth it. You don't have to marry yourself to these quarterbacks on big money contracts just because you get to the end of the deal and you're like, do I Flacco it? Do I pay him? Do I make him go out and prove it in an ungodly playoff run like Flacco had that year? That contract felt like a tipping point with the Baltimore Ravens because Flacco was fine. Like they obviously didn't have the success that they were experiencing when he was a more cost-effective player. But that contract really, it felt like it changed the way a lot of teams were willing to kind of ride it out with the quarterback position rather than the way that things have evolved now, where they're very quick to pull the rug out from under these guys. Just go out and find another one. We'll find another quarterback who can do that because honest to God, you can. You can find just about anybody to go 17 of 24 for 200 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions in the NFL. You can find those dudes in today's level of quarterbacking. The question is, how much better can you get those players? And that's why the churn has ramped up in recent years. So of the three of them, I would probably pick Richardson, but that's just because I know less about him. And the fact that I know more about Bryce Young and Will Levis makes me want to not pick those guys. A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. TrueMathFitness.com for more information. They will get you your first workout free, and they will help you maximize your fitness goals at TrueMathFitness.com. Okay, so with that, we welcome in Bert, who is also a loser this weekend. His 0-2 Ravens. He looks miserable. He looks disheveled. He looks shirtless. He looks pink. How are you?
I want to cuss at you. You didn't have to talk about me like that. You didn't have to talk about my pinkness. You didn't have to do any of that. Instead, what I want to talk about is this Monday Night Football game. Two birds who are probably going to play a lot better than mine did on Sunday. They both had a crack at the ball, 0-0, with the Eagles getting the ball, 9:55 left to go in the game. So what I got to ask you is, who you got? we saw Jason Kelsey today doing his first. Is this his first or second Monday Night Football?
This is his second, but it's his first, obviously, in Philadelphia.
Sure, there you go. So Adam Schefter, in order to honor that, decided he would do his best Lord Farquaad impersonation.
We're waiting to see how much the Philadelphia Eagles. Come on. We're waiting to see tonight.
I had no idea. He went full mummer. He went full mummer.
Well, listen, we're going to be back in Jason City. We're going to do this the right way, right? So if we're going to talk about the tush push in Jason City, we might as well wear the look to make it work, right?
You look good, Shefty.
Thank you, Jason. And I do want to give a shout out to the Woodland String Band for helping us get together this outfit, and for Aaron Dunphy for helping coordinating it. But again, this has been such a part of your history here. The tush push has been such a part of your history. And I'll say this. I have a little idea of what you felt like when you walked out to the parade. Because when I walked into this stadium, I must have got some of the same reactions that you got walking up to that podium in Philadelphia. Except I don't have a ring for the Super Bowl victory.
Who wore it better? Yeah, that's. I didn't know that was happening. They got the host good, which is great. Well done, Adam Schefter.
Hopefully he doesn't change. Hopefully he wears that to post game.
He thought he was safe. He thought he was going to hide behind the Eagles and the Falcons and Adam Schefter in a mummer outfit. No, that is the face of the 0-2 club, kids. Smelling like cigarettes, Ravens chain around his neck in his Lamar Jackson jersey, praying, wishing, and hoping that Derrick Henry can come and save him. And no, he falls to the Las Vegas Raiders at home in a big spot. Unbelievable. You thought you were safe, but you're not. Eat it. Oh, it delights me. It makes me so happy. That's going to do it for us tonight here on the Primetime program. A quick reminder on the way out the door that we are also made possible by Zen Sports, promo code ATOZTN. Bet the football, whether it's, well, I guess you can't bet it tonight, but you can bet it all week long with college or pros. Zen Sports, promo code ATOZTN. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet. You guys have a great night. Tomorrow we move on. Well, no, tomorrow I'm off. Bert is stuck with you tomorrow. Bert is stuck, babies. I forgot I get Tuesdays off now. Good, because I look exhausted. I'm going to go do a face mask. I'm going to take a depression nap. And then I'm going to try and get my life together for Wednesday. Now, obviously, I'll have 3 hours of radio tomorrow because even my day off does not come with a complete day off. So no prime time tomorrow for me. But there will be 3 hours of radio from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. So I hope you'll join me then, because after that, I'm taking the rest of the afternoon. See you guys.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!